but we went to Panama Canal and we stopped on the Atlantic side and spent the night, and we got up real early the next morning and moved on into the locks to be the first ship in the locks so we'd get priority on the channel. It was 42 miles across to the Pacific side. But when we got up out of the locks into the bay, they stopped us and had us move over pretty close to the bank again because some British ships was coming from the other direction with war material. They'd been up on the west coast and had got airplanes and this type of thing to fight with because they were already in the war with Germany. And so we sit up there and about sundown, them ships finally come through till we could move out. Okay, the first lock we went into, we'd bucked up against two gates that was higher than the ship in the front of us, and there's cement walls higher than from here to the ceiling on both sides of it. And I wondered now, it's just barely wide enough for the ship to get in. And I didn't know what was going on. But what happened, they closed gates behind us and opened up the gates in the front of us, and they was full of water for 15, 20 foot in front of us. And as that water come down and leveled up, it lifted the ship up till I'm standing on the dock and spitting down on the ground outside. And then we was in the second lock there, and we went through three particular locks. We was raised 110 foot from sea level. And that's how high the channel was going across Panama. And then we went through docks going down on the other side the same way. And I was on gangplank guard whenever we was docked on the Atlantic side. And we had a little boy, I don't believe he was over 15 years old, and he spent most of his life in the reform school, and he had no father, I guess. His mother and the county sheriff had got him into the Army. And so he was going to Hawaii, and he'd got a pass to go ashore and got down on the dock, and a Panamanian sold him what they called a hay bud, what we know now as a marijuana cigarette. And boy, and he was acting up down on the dock, and he come back over to pretty close to where the gangplank was, and he looked up at the ship and decided he's gonna fly back up on deck. So they had things like big iron stumps, about 2.5 foot high, to tie ships to. And boy, he got up on top of that and flopped his wings, and he dived off face down on the dock. So I rounded up a couple of men and sent them down the gangplank to get him, and brought him back up on the deck, and the hole was open, and his bunk was 3 layers down near the bottom of the ship, and he could look down that hole and see his bunk. And he broke loose from the guys that brought him up, and he dived down, and man, he flopped his wings a couple of times, and down he went to his bunk. And he like killed himself when he hit that steel floor. So they put him in sick bay, and after we got on through the Panama Canal and headed back up the west coast, we were about a day out of San Diego when a seaplane come to us and landed. And they unloaded that guy and put him on the plane. And that's the last I ever seen or heard of him.